Thanks to everyone who supported the channel financially, and thanks to everyone who watched the ads without skipping. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and write a comment. We want to reach 3,000 likes and 300 comments, but suddenly they heard someone saying, "You all are it." Heads turned at the voice of a newcomer, and a man appeared out of thin air, wearing a white mask, and looked at them. Someone said in shock, "Gasp! What? Invisibility?" I didn't sense him at all. Another inquired, "Who are you? What are you? And how long have you been there?" Ryu replied, "Been here all along, just observing what you were saying, for management purposes." Ryu approached with steady steps, responding to their shocked expressions. The players couldn't take their eyes off the suddenly appeared Ryu, readying themselves to equip their gear at any moment. It was a natural reaction to a suspicious man covering his face with a white mask. Ryu looked around at the members and said, "No need to be so guarded. I'm the commander you've been waiting for." One inquired, "Commander, this person?" Though he revealed the truth, no one took his word for it at face value. Suspicion was their initial response, and one asked himself, what kind of commander hides his face behind a mask, unless he's out of his mind? Ryu said to himself, a rather unwelcoming countenance. Well, appearing with a mask on is bound to look strange. Then one asked, "Are you really our unit's commander? And why wear the mask?" Ryu replied, "I don't want my face to become public. By the way, I have the police chief's approval, so don't even think about making a fuss." The members inwardly sighed, and some of them were already internally lamenting having such an odd commander. And one said to himself, why does he feel the need to hide his face, as if he's some kind of celebrity? So, it's okay for us to have our faces known? This is just ridiculous. Ryu managed to plant a not-so-favorable first impression, but it didn't matter to him, and he said to himself, what these guys think of me isn't important. What matters is how well they can do their job. Ryu was here merely to introduce himself and to train and instruct them briefly. And he said, those who don't listen will just have to be beaten into submission. Here, he was the highest authority, so whatever he did wouldn't be questioned, especially with the supportive police chief backing him up. Moreover, Ryu could see 7 seconds into the future, so he knew how they would react when he revealed his nickname, so he wasn't worried about his image. Then Ryu said, "Let me formally introduce myself. In the other world, my nickname is Black Scythe. My profession is a reaper, and I'm level 89. As for my real-world identity, I can't reveal that. I hope you understand." The players were shocked and confused upon hearing the unexpected nickname, and they inquired, "Black Scythe? Could it be the Black Scythe?" The name Black Scythe was always at the top of the rankings, known as a monstrous entity among players for his unmatchable level, and for such a famed person to claim identity here was utterly surprising. Hence, there was skepticism, and one said, "Commander, I know it's impolite to ask on our first meeting, but can you prove it? It's a bit hard to believe." Ryu said, "You should start fixing that dialect of yours. You're in Seoul now. You should at least be able to speak standard Korean." He said, "Never mind dodging the question, sir." Ryu inquired, "You want proof?" It seemed everyone shared the same sentiment, doubting whether he was really impersonating Black Scythe. At that moment, Ryu's hand manifested a scythe. It was the Reaper's trademark, a scythe taller than an adult, and he said, "Proof. Would this suffice?" Yet the players' skepticism remained, and one said, "Anyone can buy a scythe from the shop, can't they?" Another inquired, "Huh? There were scythes in the shop? Really? I never noticed before." One replied, "It wasn't there originally, but it appeared once I reached expert rank." Ryu said, "Then just holding a scythe doesn't prove anything." The members murmured among themselves, still eyeing Ryu with suspicion. Ryu said to himself, "So now even a weapon isn't enough for proof." Of course, handing over the scythe for them to check its stats could resolve the issue, as it was a weapon that only those above level 60 could wield, and that would at least convince them that I'm a powerful being over level 60. However, Ryu had no intention of handing over his scythe, not because he feared it being stolen, but because it didn't fit his image, and he said to himself, "After all, these guys are my subordinates. There's no need to humiliate myself by handing over my scythe for validation." And as the unit's commander, it was essential to demonstrate strong charisma, because first impressions were crucial for establishing respect. And he added, I need to prove that I am Black Scythe and leave a strong impression. But how could he catch two birds with one stone? In fact, there was a simple way. And Ryu said to them, if you can't believe me, let's settle this with a duel. One inquired, a duel? Ryu explained, once you reach level 60, you can attain master rank, unlocking the duel request feature. It allows you to challenge someone to a duel, staking something in the process. As I said, being level 89, only I can use this feature. Another asked, but how does that prove you're Black Scythe? Ryu replied, well, if you've seen the ranking updates, you'd know. The gap between the first and second place in every region is huge. Currently, there's only me in the master rank worldwide. So if someone can use the duel request feature, it must be me, the Black Scythe. One inquired. Still, there's no guarantee the duel request feature unlocks at level 60, right? Ryu said. Well, you'll know once you reach level 60, but if you're really doubtful, let's have a go. Honestly, you're not just curious whether I'm Black Scythe. You want to know if I'm qualified to be the commander, whether I'm stronger or weaker than you, right? They remained silent with stern faces, but the members were internally astonished. They hadn't expected him to address the issue so directly. Then Ryu asked, so who wants to be the first challenger? But the atmosphere remained silent and no one responded. Ryu said, no one? Don't worry. If we agree on conditions, no one dies in a duel. That's the nature of the duel request feature. Of course, it only applies to the duel participants, so you could still die from someone else's attack. But no one came forward this time either. Ryu said, so no takers. If no one steps up, I'll take it as you acknowledging me as Black Scythe. That's when the first challenger stepped forward. And he said, I'll take you on, sir. It was the Busan man, Ko Nam Chol. In fact, Go Nam Cheol was frankly displeased with the Black Scythe, and he said to himself, to trust and follow a commander who won't even show his face. I can't abide by that. Whether it's the real Black Scythe or not, doesn't matter. Then he asked, how do we proceed with the duel? Ryu replied, first, let's move to a more spacious location. As Ryu stepped outside, the members followed him. One said, Nam Cheol, good luck. Make sure to flatten his nose for us. He replied, leave it to me. One laughed and said, would have been nice to have some popcorn. Ryu chuckled, looking at the laughing audience, and said, laugh all you want now. After this is over, it's your turn. Ryu had no intention of dueling only with Go Nam Cheol from the start. He planned to duel with all 10 members present. Of course, it wasn't just for the sake of a power struggle. As a commander, he wanted to assess the skills, talents, and perseverance of the guys. Then Ryu manipulated something in the air, and a message visible only to Go Nam Cheol appeared. The opponent in front of you has requested a duel. Duel type, non-lethal simple duel. Victory condition, inflict any damage. If the opponent wins, correct Busan warrior's dialect, recognize as commander. If Busan warrior wins, the opponent resigns from the commander position. Penalty for the opponent, all equipment, skill usage prohibited. Penalty for Busan warrior, none. Do you accept the duel under these conditions? Yes, no. As Go Nam Cheol looked at the message in astonishment, Ryu spoke, if you accept, the duel will proceed under those conditions. He inquired, what's this penalty thing? Ryu replied, exactly what it says, penalties imposed only on me. As you can see, I plan to face you after discarding all my items. I won't use skills either. Go Nam Cheol's lips twitched. The commander was challenging his manhood. Ryu added, don't take it as an underestimation. It's to balance things out. An 89-level player wearing gear can't seriously fight a level 40, he inquired. Then, this victory condition? Ryu replied, when you win, those are the conditions you must adhere to. Kind of like a bet? Of course, you can't break the promise. The system will force your actions as soon as you accept. Go Nam Cheol considered the scenario where he won, and he said to himself, if I win, he'll resign from the commander position, and it's doable. No matter how high his level, you can't ignore the advantage of equipment. In fact, simply calculating stats, an 89 level without gear is similar to a fully equipped level 40. Actually, the level 40 might even be higher. Thus, Go Nam Cheol was confident, as his equipment was second to none, and he said to himself, most of my equipment is rare. I even have a unique item. And even if his level is high, without equipment, his stats will be significantly lower. Then there's no way I'll lose. With that thought, Go Nam Cheol confidently accepted. and a message appeared in front of everyone nearby. The duel has been set. The duel between the two will start in 10 seconds. Then Goam distanced himself with a serious look, and he said, "I'll make you regret imposing a penalty on yourself." However, he overlooked one fact. Even without equipment, each of Ryu Min's stats was nearing 300.